So first jobs first that I like to do is I like to reset the chrono and the clock. So they're all nice and clear, ready for the second flight. And then we need to go into the EFB. We need to go into the Fenix app. And we need to go and click on our flight tab. And you can see that it's completed now. And then we'll import. Just get rid of that. We'll import the next flight. There we go. So we're 24 minutes away from our departure time, which is more than enough time to get everything ready and set. So now that that's imported, we go to the mass and balance page and we click load aircraft. So it's going to take us 22 minutes for real-time loading. We'll just do fast loading again if you guys are happy with that, just so that we can get airborne nice and quick. I usually like to do real-time loading, but I think just for today we'll do fast time loading. So we'll click fast time. And then that will automatically get things going. And we should see it starting to increase. There we go. We can see that passengers are already on board. You forgot to set the freight to auto? No, I'm pretty sure it was auto. I think it's just not put any in for me. It does it sometimes. I don't know why. Okay, so that's all loading into there. With that in mind, we can now come out of the Fenix app and we can go into Navigraph. And then we can sync our new routing via SimBrief again. And there we go, so we can see our routing in the map page if we wanted to. And then we'll come back to that app a little bit later. We need to go and have a look at our flight plan. So we'll go to the Pilot Brief app, and you can see in the bottom right hand corner here, there's the refresh icon. So we'll click refresh, and it will say importing from SimBrief. And there we go. We now can double check it. Land 78, that is our flight number from Puerto Montt to Santiago. So we know that we've got the correct flight plan now on here. All right, so that's all looking good. That's us finished with the EFB just for the moment. What we will do is we'll come down to the CDU, and you can see we've got our preliminary load sheet here. So let's go back into the FMGC, go to init A, and we'll go and do an init request to go and request our new flight plan. There we go, SCTE to SCEL. Flight number, as I just showed on the flight plan, was LAN 78. Cost index today I've selected is 20. And if we had a look at our flight plan, you'd see that our cruise level today is 380, 38,000 feet. The default AirAC is from 2021 without a Navigraph subscription. Yes, correct. So 380. We'll then go to the right to go to the init B page, and we're going to have a look at that preliminary load sheet that we've received on the AOC received messages page, and we can see our load sheet prelim. So it says our zero fuel weight is 54.3, and then we'll do slash, select the up arrow which actually scrolls it down, and you can see our max zero fuel weight is 31.4. Again, these aren't our final figures, they might change, but that's what we've got for now. And then the fuel we're expecting today, that shows 6.7 or 6.8 if we round it up. And we'll confirm with the flight plan, yeah, about 6.8 tons. You always round up in aviation, always. So 6.8 tons for our block fuel. Perfect. Let's go to the flight plan page. We're departing out via ANROS today. Let's go and see if there's any departures. So it's a runway 35 departure. And you can see ANRO 5 Alpha. That's the only option for this runway. So we'll select that and execute it into there. If we wanted now, we could also go and put in the arrival information, but I'll do that when we're in cruise. If you wanted to put in your arrival information, obviously you would select your arrival airport in the flight plan page, go arrival, and then select it through there, but I'll do that later in the flight just to save us some time on the ground here. From there, I'm actually going to go back to my init page and just load in the winds. There we go, we've got our wind data uplink. So that's looking in really good stead now. Now that we've put in some information for our preliminary load sheet, we can click accept on there. And then let's go and get some updated weather. So we'll go back to the AOC menu page. We'll go to weather, weather request, and then we'll type in the ICAO code for the airport that we're currently at, SCTE. We just need the METAR, we don't need the TAF today. And we'll click send. Thank you for these follows, everybody. And then if we return 2 pages and go back to received messages, you can see we've got a new weather data message that's just come through, and that indicates things. So 010 degrees, 16 knots, 8,000 meters visibility with light rain, scattered clouds at 1200, overcast at 3000, the temperature is 10, the dew point is 10, and the QNH hasn't changed from how we had it earlier on. It's 1009er, so that can remain the same. Okay. Yes, Navarre. Yeah, I actually keep discovering. I guess that makes sense. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. I've always round up. So, Navi graph. Let's have a look at our ground charts. We'll put that as a tab. And we'll also have a look at our departure. And we notice the ANROS 5 Alpha. Should be a pretty simple departure today. So, let's have a look. So, all of the departures for runway 35 go straight out to RS at or above 2,300 feet. And then we can see it splits off here on the ANROS 5 Alpha. In fact, I'll tell you what, let's go and be very clever about this. So we can see we've got Ores at or above 2,300 feet, and then we split off here to the right on the ANROS 5 Alpha. To Tango Echo 300 at or above 6,000. And then Kipop, we've got at or above 6,000 there, I think. I don't know if that's on another one. And then, so it's ANROS there at or above 6,000 as well. And then en route. Taxi-wise, it should be very, very simple for us. We'll push back from stand, taxi down Alpha to the holding point for runway 35. About as simple as you could get, really, with that one. So that's our kind of briefing there. In terms of the initial climb today, I think we'll go with the transition altitude of 10,000. There are at or above 6,000s here, so I could, no, let's go with 6,000. How was the landing? I think it was a pretty good one, actually. I was quite happy with it. So, chat, here's a question for you. Why, at the moment, is my flight plan in a green dashed line? And why is my heading display not dash dot, altitude dot on there? Why is that? What have I not done? Ian's got it straight away. We've not got our flight directors selected. So if I select my flight directors, you will now see that we've got a solid green line. And we've got the dashes and the dots on the FCU. All right. There we go. I like throwing those questions out there every now and again. Cool. So we're looking in really good stead. Obviously, at this stage now, we could go and get some performance figures in. But because we're doing the fast loading, I think we'll wait for our final load sheet to come through before we do that. Talking of the devil, boarding is complete. So now that boarding is complete with the Fenix aircraft, it's much quicker than real life. It can take up to 7 minutes after boarding has completed for your final load sheet to come through. If you would like it to come through quicker, all you need to do is to click resend load sheet once boarding has completed, okay? So this goes also for the preliminary load sheet. Let's say you've loaded into the sim 60 minutes before your departure time. But you can only get your preliminary load sheet 30 minutes before departure, as per realism, right? If you just click resend load sheet whilst you're loading the aircraft, then you'll get your preliminary load sheet through at any time. And once boarding is completed, if you also click that resend load sheet, you'll get your final load sheet through. Okay, so you can force those messages to come in. Tell you what, let's do it. Let's do it. So if I click resend load sheet now, load sheet sent to ACARS, dismiss that. And then you'll see on the upper ECAM display, we have company message. And you'll see we have a load sheet in the AOC received messages page. So we'll go load sheet. And here we go. We've got our final load sheet today. So let's go to the init page and let's update the figures. So we're a little bit heavier. 54.5 is our zero fuel weight. And our max zero fuel weight is 31.7. So you always need to acknowledge these. And we'll click accept on that. All right. So we'll go back to the flight plan pages. We're finished with AOC now. And then our final step that we really need to do is to go and get some takeoff performance in. So we'll come back to the EFB. We'll come to the departure perf page. Runway 35 for departure. It is wet here, so we'll go and select those. And then we can sync our final load sheet today. Optimal config on the flaps, forced toga no, anti-ice, it's 11 degrees centigrade, so we're right on the border of needing anti-ice. I'm going to err on the side of, well, not caution and leave anti-ice off. And I think we should be fine with packs on today. There we go, there's our takeoff weight of 61 tons. Mac towers there. We'll go and get the latest weather synced as well. We're not going to be worrying about intersection data today. We're not taking an intersection on the runway. And so we'll click calculate. Okay, once again, it's giving us flap 2 on this one. I don't mind, I'll do another flap 2 departure. Why not? So with this, it's giving us 129, 129, and 132 for our speeds. Flap 2, a trim of down 0.3, and a flex to temp of 68. So let's go and set that in. So it was 128, 128, and 132. I'm going to leave the transition altitude as it is in the charts and the thrust reduction acceleration default. Flap 2, you can put in the trim setting there if you want, but it's not a requirement. And then what was the flex to temp? 68. So 68 goes into the flex to temp. And now we've fully really set up the aircraft. We can double check to make sure that we've got dash dot, altitude dot on the FCU. And then really, seatbelt signs on that fueling is finished. APU can go online. And then we're ready for pushback and to start engines. I might put that up on YouTube. Sorry that I was ignoring chat for quite a while there. I actually just started kind of commentating over the setup of the aircraft as if I might put that on YouTube. So who knows? This may end up on YouTube. Hope you're enjoying it, Wisconsin. How do you cycle through the external cameras? I don't ever use them. I don't cycle through cameras in this. This is a freeware airport? No, this is payware. What are packs? They're for air conditioning. I think there's somebody actually on downwind for landing. I think there's somebody else who's flown with us who's on downwind to land with. Oh, Simplay, that's really, really great. I'm glad to hear that, my friend. I'm really glad to hear that. I hope you enjoy the Phoenix, mate. Okay, so we can hear the APU spooling up, and as you can see on the lower ECAM display, we've got APU avail. And then that should show on the upper ECAM display now. There it is, right on command, APU avail. So we'll select APU bleed. Once we know that we've got APU bleed enunciated on the upper ECAM, we can disconnect the external power now. Let's go back to the Phoenix app on the EFB. And we'll go to ground services. And then we'll disconnect the ground power unit and the chocks and the cones. And we'll go and call for the tug. I'm not using toolbar pushback at the moment. With that, we're ready for pushback. So beacon light can go on. Transponder can go to auto or on. I usually just put it to on. We'll make sure that we're above the TCAS as well. And then really we're ready for engine start.